Hey UConn Nation, it's KK Arnold here. If you're looking for the latest UConn women's basketball content, go subscribe to Listen Up to Phil and Ryan. Go Huskies!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Listen Up. Thanks again for joining me for the last check-in today. Also, thanks to everyone who watched the game recap last night. I know it was a pretty late one, but we eventually got that one out. As now we quickly shift our focus to the next game against the 18th ranked Ole Miss Rebels. This will be the second and final game in the Bahamas for UConn, as it is the Baha Mar Women's Championship game. And this will possibly be the toughest test for UConn so far this year. Of course, they did play North Carolina on the road. Of course, this is a neutral site, and there should be more UConn fans. There were more UConn fans than Beaver fans the other night, so probably have the advantage there. But I think Ole Miss is a better team than North Carolina, and this will be a challenge for UConn. I think you take a look at Ole Miss; they're 4-1. They lost their first game of the season on the road to a tough USC team by just 2 points. It was two late free throws that put the Trojans just barely ahead. Ole Miss there in the end. But this Ole Miss team, definitely a tough team. Likely starting five for the Ole Miss Rebels, be four seniors and a freshman, and all five of them are averaging around 10 points per game this season. Forward Star Jacobs will be the only post player in the starting five, followed by four guards, Madison Scott, talented freshman guard Sierra Theono, Kennedy Todd Williams, and sixth-year player KK Dean, who leads the Rebels in scoring so far. And yes, she is in her sixth year. Three with West Virginia, one with Florida, and this is her second year with Ole Miss. And then off the bench as well, you got Ayanna Thompson, Christine Uala, having solid years as well for Ole Miss. And like I said, this is a tough team. They're definitely no push away, and UConn definitely can't take them lightly at all. They're very well coached. They can score. They're a physical defensive team. They're very disciplined as well. But I think defense is their strong suit. Just like UConn, their defense leads them, setting up their offense on most nights. So UConn needs to be at the top of their game Wednesday night, and we need to see a good shooting performance. So far, UConn really hasn't had any bad turnovers. I think they've been taking care of the ball pretty well, but I think for the most part, they've had their offense on doing pretty well. They need to continue that for this game, but I think UConn needs to win this game with their defense, continuing to force all those steals, all those turnovers, but we need to see that defensive pressure for all four quarters, not just the first half, not just one quarter. It needs to be the whole game, all 40 minutes. The defense has to keep that pressure throughout the whole entire game. And I think if we see that, UConn has a pretty good chance to win. If they play a complete 40-minute game, disciplined game, we continue to see that team chemistry, everybody in sync. I think the Huskies have a good chance to win. I think that's the key for this game. It needs to be disciplined. No bad turnovers. Hopefully, we'll probably see that full court press again that UConn has had so far in the first five games this year. But again, Ole Miss is definitely no pushover. Ranked 18th, they're a very solid team. So if UConn doesn't start out this game fast, I think they could probably see a deficit early in this game. And it could be a tough uphill climb because defense is definitely Ole Miss's strong suit. So it definitely should be an interesting game. Definitely looking forward to it. But with that said, I'll get into a couple comments from last night's recap, and also don't forget to like, comment, subscribe as always. And I want you guys to comment below your predictions for this game interested to see. I was reading some of the comments from last night, and I think a couple of people are a little worried for this game. So I'm interested to see what you guys think about this one. But first comment, we'll go to Steve Kinsey. They said Ole Miss will be a challenge for them. It'll be interesting how new players respond to it. Page may have to go for 30 because we haven't found a consistent third option on offense. Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I mean, it's kind of been just Page and Sarah so far for this season for UConn. And I think Paige will probably lead scoring again in this game, and she may very well have to go for about 30 points. I think she'll definitely play 30 minutes, maybe 35 minutes in this game. I think it's going to be a closer game, so I don't think it's one of those games for UConn and Gino that he can just sub out Page for the whole fourth quarter or a very long period of time. I think Page may get a couple breathers here and there, but I think we'll probably see her for a majority of this game, and she very well may have to lead UConn in this one. Next comment we'll go to from just me. They said UConn needs to keep their intensity in the second half. Also, fairly good performance by Jana El Alfie, but she needs to work on finishing better on those shots around the rim. She did well against OSU's bigs, but she needs to work on positioning against big opponents. She needs more foot speed. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was glad to see Jana bounce back from the last game. She's going to be an important part of UConn's offense, defense, pretty much everything that they're going to do so far for the whole entire season. Jana's going to be a big part of it coming off the bench. You could probably argue she could start for Ice Brady. I mean, you could swap both of them out, but I think Ice has had a pretty good season so far too. I like her rebounding. It would be nice to see that offensive production go up for her just a little bit, but I think Ice has been playing good defense, good rebounding so far for UConn. But like I said, Jana's going to be an important part of what UConn does for every game, every game that UConn has left. She'll definitely be a big part of that coming off the bench and the intensity as well. Like I said, it needs to be the whole game for UConn. I know everybody agrees with that, and we want to see that defensive pressure and intensity for the for the whole entire game. And if that doesn't happen, it could get interesting in this game for UConn. We'll go to one more comment here from Michael Lawson. They said AZ starting against Ole Miss to me, big mistake. You just got FUD back. Ole Miss's coach team is a very rugged team. The refs have been letting teams play. The next game coming up would be perfect for a player like Patterson or Aubrey because it fits that style. I would hate for my marquee players to get hurt in a tournament like this one. Yeah, for sure. I mean, we definitely don't want anybody to get hurt. We've seen that too much in the past, so we're looking pretty good. I think we got a little scare with Ashland last night, but hopefully she'll be good for this one. I agree. It's too early to put Fudd in the starting lineup. I think. And maybe in a couple weeks, when we get to those tougher matchups, perhaps she'll be in the starting lineup. But I think for now, just her minutes to go up slowly every night will be good enough, and her production is big off the bench as well for UConn. Not only obviously her offense would like to see that going maybe a little bit more. It's going to be important for Ole Miss against Ole Miss, but her defense as well. If she can keep those assists or rebound numbers up, and the steals, anything she can do to help the team win. But yeah, I mean, Ole Miss, a very rugged team. They're a tough physical team. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be a challenge. And as for Ayanna Patterson, Aubrey Griffin, they did participate in the warm-ups for the last game against Oregon State. Obviously, didn't play again, so not sure if they'll be available for this game. I would assume not, but it would be good news if one or both of them would be available to go because we're about to get in this tough stretch where we need everybody we can get. But let's get into predictions here really quickly. Phil obviously not able to join me for this one, but he did send me his prediction. He said UConn 85, Ole Miss 52. I think it'll be a little closer game than that. Defense will definitely lead the way. It's going to be a challenge for UConn. This is a very good test, an early test for UConn again. I think they do come out on top. I'll say UConn 73, Ole Miss 66. I expect it to be close. And that's going to do it for me here on the last check-in. Phil will be back with me tomorrow night for the game recap, and hopefully it's a happy one and we can head into the Thanksgiving break with a win. And I will see you guys tomorrow night back on a Phil for the game recap. And that's been Rye on Listen Up.